Hello everybody and welcome back to another episode of Average Joe, the series where I'll be taking a look at a vehicle and telling you whether or not I believe it's worth the average player's time, or in this case, their money. In today's episode we'll be looking at the M1A1 Click-Bait, a rank 7 premium American MBT sitting at 11.3 battle rating. Now I'm going to be comparing this tank quite a lot to the M1 KVT because at the end of the day they are both premium rank 7 Abrams tanks. So if you were looking into getting this purely because it's an Abrams, please watch this and my M1 KVT video so that you can see the difference between the two and decide for yourself which one you think is better. Now, starting off with the weapons on the M1A1 Click-Bait, we're going to start with the cannon. The M1A1 Click-Bait is armed with a 120mm cannon with a 6.5 second base reload, which is honestly just incredible for a 120. It's honestly probably my favorite part about the entire vehicle, because you actually have the same reload rate as the KVT, but with a much better gun. Your pen on this is almost 600 base at point blank range, which is incredible. Overall, the gun on this could easily carry it even if the rest of the tank had nothing else to offer. And with that, you also have 3 different machine guns, a 7.62 coax, a 7.62 roof mounted machine gun, and a 50 cal roof mounted machine gun, which all of these are very nice when you take into account that at this battle rating, people love to helicopter rush. Now to top off your weapons, there's actually one more that not a lot of people know about, and it's actually your lawn chair. Now, fun fact, that lawn chair actually has the spirit of George Washington sitting in it, and while he's sitting there, he's actually holding a Javelin anti-tank missile launcher system. Now, if he really decides to help you out in the middle of a game, he'll target the nearest enemy MBT, and he'll launch that f***er. Moving on from weapons, let's talk about survivability a little bit, because overall, you're kinda lacking, honestly. Your armor isn't terrible, but it has a lot of glaring weak spots, from first off your cannon breech basically being the size of the moon, your turret neck being some of the easiest one-shot kills in the entire game, your lower plate being basically made of paper. Fortunately, though, you do have fuel tanks there, so unless they go straight down the middle, you should mostly be fine. Just overall, the armor's typically good enough to block shots, but if people know where to aim, it is not hard to get a shot on a weak spot. Now, you fortunately have other tools to keep you alive, like for instance, you have 16 smoke grenades that you fire off in sets of 4. You also have 3 uses of ESS, which, fun fact, you can actually see through these with thermals. You can't see through smoke grenades, but you can see through ESS. So just keep that in mind. Not a lot of people are going to actually be able to take advantage of this because most people are looking through thermals at this battle rating anyway, but still. It's nice to at least know. Moving on from that, you also have your blowout ammo rack, kind of a staple of the Abrams series of tanks. However, in this case, you can only carry 17 rounds in the ready rack, and keep in mind, if the blowout ammo rack goes out, every single round in the blowout ammo rack is going to be lost. So, in my case, I typically only bring 18 rounds whenever I play the Abrams, so I'm bringing the entire ready rack, and then I'm bringing 1 shell in the breech. This means if my ready rack gets hit, I don't have any more ammo besides what's already loaded. So if you want to bring extra ammo that's not in the ready rack, keep in mind your blowout ammo rack will not save you if that gets hit, but if your ammo rack does get knocked out, you'll be able to replenish the ready rack after the fire goes out. Next up is mobility, another staple of the Abrams line, and this time I want to talk about it a bit more in depth because of the fact that, well, you're a lot heavier than the KVT was, and if your first experience with an Abrams was the base Abrams or the KVT, you're gonna notice that this extra weight is kind of annoying. It's not gonna really affect your top speed that much, however your acceleration is very heavily hindered by this. So just keep in mind that when getting up to speed, it's gonna take longer when you're playing this tank over the other Abrams tanks, especially the ones before it. Typically, your top speed and acceleration will still be good enough to get to whatever position you need to get to before most other MBTs, however, light vehicles are going to be able to outpace you a lot easier than they would be able to in the KVT, so just keep that in mind. Now, I'd like to talk about a few little miscellaneous things whenever it comes down to this versus the KVT. First off, both of them have Gen 1 thermals to my knowledge, and you're gonna notice this with basically every single American tank in the game. They don't get good thermals. It's unfortunate. In my opinion, just use the thermals to spot a target, leave the thermals, and then actually shoot for weak spots. But beyond that, just keep in mind that the thermals really shouldn't be used for close range combat. Just don't do it, especially in urban environments. I get it on night maps, but if you're in a daytime map, especially on snow maps, it's probably just going to hinder you. Now, this next one actually has to do with grinding whenever it comes to playing these vehicles, and it's actually the SL and RP differences between the Click-Bait and the KVT. First off, the Click-Bait actually does get more RP over the KVT. It gets 732%, while the KVT gets 696. However, when it comes to SL, it's actually the other way around, where the Click-Bait only gets 570%, where the KVT gets 585%. Now, in my opinion, this isn't a big enough deal to actually change my mind on getting one over the other. However, I do think it's still worth mentioning. Now, one of the last things I want to talk about is beginner friendliness, because that is something that I do want to talk about whenever it comes to especially top tier premiums. This thing is not beginner friendly. I don't think really any premium above 5.0 is beginner friendly in most cases. However, when it comes down to the Click-Bait especially, the battle rating that it is put at is going to be very hard for new players to adjust to. There is a lot more planes, a lot of helicopters. Every shot counts. Reload rate matters much more than just big gun. And a lot of new players are going to struggle with this adjustment if they just came from, say, 3.0, 4.0. Now, if I'm being honest, I don't think that you should ever skip straight to the end of a tech tree by buying a premium. I don't think it's a good idea. I think that you should play through the tech tree to actually understand the game. Otherwise, you're going to be missing out on a lot of key mechanics that the game would teach you by going up the tree naturally. But either way, I just want to say, this thing is not beginner friendly in the slightest. If you have to get one, absolutely just get the KVT. It's a lot more beginner friendly. That's not saying much because they're both very unfriendly to new people compared to any low tier premium. But if you're absolutely dead set on getting one and you're a new player, please just get the KVT. Lastly, let's talk about the price. So for $70, you're going to get 20 days of premium, 2,500 Golden Eagles, and the tank itself. Now, I'm going to say now, that's not worth it. And even on sale for $35, honestly, when compared to the KVT, which in my opinion is a much more enjoyable battle rating to play, it's still just not worth it. Now that's the thing, the KVT is also cheaper, however you also get 500 less Golden Eagles and 5 days less of premium. So at the end of the day, pick your poison. I would say if you're gonna get one of them, get the KVT over the Click-Bait. But at the end of the day, I don't think you should get either of them unless you've already finished a different tech tree and you want to go through the American one as quickly as possible. With all of that out of the way, I'd just like to thank you all for watching. Please let me know in the comments if there's any vehicles you'd like to see in the series in the future. Have a good one.